Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, my fellow Chibits. Today, I'm once again, finally, after a very long time, here to bring all of you, once again, weekly anime reviews on Sailor Moon Crystal. Now, bi-weekly, I don't know if I should say bi-weekly or weekly, because I have no idea of the scheduling of Sailor Moon Crystal. Because if we remember the previous Sailor Moon Crystal, it constantly released an episode every single 2 weeks. Like, every 2 weeks, it would release an episode very early morning. So, I'm very curious if Sailor Moon Crystal, I'm guessing Season 3 now, this is going by Season 3, or Episode 27, if you want to count all the episodes together. I'm curious if this is going to be a bi-weekly or a weekly release, because from what I am hearing, I don't know if this is true or not, from what I've heard from a couple of Chibis, apparently this is going to be like 12 or 13 episodes. I could be wrong there, don't quote me on that, but that's what I am hearing. And so if that is true, I could see how this could possibly be just, a weekly series. It's not going to be releasing bi-weekly, which is a plus, because I feel like many probably didn't watch Sailor Moon Crystal the last time it aired. It's probably because of scheduling reasons. I mean, you would watch an episode, and then having to wait 2 weeks, it kind of fades out of your mind. You're like, oh crap, I completely forgot that it was even airing. Honestly, many actually did that when it came to the last Sailor Moon Crystal airing, when Toei Animation was making it. Many forgot that it was coming out, because, having to wait 2 weeks for a new episode, and then sometimes, with the constant breaks, you had to wait 3 weeks, you're like, oh crap, I didn't even know it was airing or a new episode was out, because, schedule is just so bad. And so, I feel like if it's a weekly release, it'll get a lot more attention than it did with, the last season. But enough of that. Well, let's talk about, episode 27. So, it is back, and I gotta say, animation and art, way higher than Season 1 was, or Season 2. I guess they're counting the first quarter, Season 1 and Season 2. But it's way higher than the first half of Sailor Moon I saw. It is. This episode was insane. And by Toei Animation standards, it looked brilliant, because the transformation scene, let's talk about that, okay? All the Sailor Guardians and their transformation sequences, way better than how it was in the previous Sailor Moon Crystal, because it looked cool and all, but the CGI, it just didn't look amazing. It really didn't. And how it was constantly spammed, like almost every single episode, it slightly sometimes got annoying. And seeing how the animation had a huge improvement, but also how the transformation sequences have been changed, and it's not CGI, it really made the transformations just so much more enjoyable to watch. And so I have to say a couple points to Toei Animation just for that, for putting in the quality work for Sailor Moon Crystal. I'm glad they're actually showing some really good quality with the art and animation. It's a really good, display from what maybe we could expect from future episodes of the series. And I noticed Toei Animation recently, they actually have been putting in a little bit more quality with their anime. I like, for instance, Dragon Ball Super, for instance, when it aired yesterday. Oh my god, the episode of Dragon Ball Super it looked beautiful. And now I'm saying the same about Sailor Moon Crystal. So, Toei, I guess you finally, have learned your lesson. Maybe you're starting to put in a little bit more effort and get those, new animators out of the studio, and you're starting to put in people that have been on this legendary series before. Just what I said with Dragon Ball, Z. It's a legendary series. It deserves a lot of respect. So does Sailor Moon Crystal. It deserves a lot of respect since it's a well-known franchise, and it's been known for a very long time, just as long as Dragon Ball. So, seeing the series at the very least getting production, really good production and respect, makes me happy. So, let's talk about this. The first episode of Season 3, for the most part, not a whole lot is going on. It seemed to actually like the pacing was a little bit slower than the previous season, which I'm fine with, because one of the big things I noticed with the last season of Sailor Moon Crystal was that the pacing was really fast, which it's a good and a bad thing, because with Sailor Moon already being done, the manga is already done, it's wrapped up, and so you could adapt it any way you like. And the pacing of Sailor Moon Crystal, the first part we saw, was very fast, and it felt like, it just was too much going on at once. It didn't take the time to really develop a whole lot of characters. And what I heard from big fans of the series is that they kind of cut out some content. And with this episode, I noticed some key differences here. There is drastic differences in the pacing. It's a little bit slower, but that's not a bad thing, because I feel like Sailor Moon would actually be a series that would benefit from a slower pacing than a fast pacing, because of the slice of life moments we get in the series, like, how this episode episode was there was a lot of slice of life going on throughout this episode. I mean, character interactions between all the Sailor Guardians, Usagi and her comedy with Momo and all that. It was a very fun episode. Great, return to Sailor Moon after such a long break. And there was some setup, though, going on for the plot. So let's talk about that. So from what I see with the plot going on, you have it to where there's this dude way far off in the distance in, like, different planets or whatever. And he also has, like, a crystal from what I can gather from the information at the beginning of the episode. He has his own, like, legendary crystal, and the crystal's reacting. For instance, the legendary silver crystal that, Usagi has, it's reacting to whatever's going on. And this person is coming after, Usagi and the legendary silver crystal. And because of this, you have it to where certain people from the school are being targeted and transformed into monsters, which we don't really understand that concept yet. That's not really explained, so I can't wait till that is dived into and we find out more information about that. But for the most part, we just had the brief, introduction to the villain. We didn't get to really see the villain's face or anything, but we got to see certain things that are going on with this episode. How there's this, like, black clouds forming in the sky, and when it comes down and you see how, this little orb enters a person's body and then transforms them into a monster, and then, yeah, we see what happens after that. So, yeah, I mean, the episode was slow, but it was fun, because I like seeing the slower pacing. I like seeing these characters animated once again, with better animation, better art, and I feel like this is actually going to make a lot of the original fans of Sailor Moon very, very happy. So yes, I'm very happy to see it back. I'm very happy to see Season 3 being animated, and I'm so glad to be able to actually see more Sailor Moon, because as I said in my first reviews of Sailor Moon, when I started, I've never read the manga. I don't really know how the story goes, and so I'm staying as an anime only just to see how it's being adapted, how, it is, how the story is, and since, it was so popular back in the day, I finally decided to sit down and give it a shot, and here I am now watching the series. So yeah, welcome back, everybody. It's been very fun to see it once again, and I'm glad that, we're gonna have this. So I have to ask a question. If you know the scheduling, could any of you Chibits, clarify in the comments below, is this series going to be a weekly or bi-weekly? That's the main thing I'm curious about, because that's one of the main things. Because a bi-weekly series, it throws off your schedule. It really does. I mean, seriously, whether there's much stuff I review sometimes, when you have a bi-weekly series and it comes out like every 2 weeks, you're like, holy crap, oh, I got to readjust this every week or something. It just throws you off. So if anyone can let me know, please do so in the comments below. But welcome back. I'm glad to be here for another season of Sailor Moon. I can't wait to see the plot start ramping up and seeing what we are to expect from this season. So you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.